We have arrived in San Jose del Pacifico, and the weather is so nice and cooling. It really feels like a vacation. And anyway, we're here on a quest to look for some mushrooms because this place is known for its mushrooms. But because it's the end of May where we are now, and the peak mushroom season is June and July, we're hoping to get some luck with fresh mushrooms. But in any other case, the view here up in the mountains, the fresh air, the pine smell is so relaxing, and enjoy these views. And this is our very private kitchen. I'll show you a room tour of our little cabin. We've already got things set up here, so it's a bit messy. But look, the most important thing of all, instant noodles for a cold day. And then, yeah, our bed and the fireplace. We came here at night, so it's kind of dark here. But tomorrow I'll show you the view from our balcony. It's another day and it's nice and fresh in the morning. You can see that it's sunny again. Usually it gets pretty cloudy and misty come afternoon, so I love the morning the best. So yeah, as I mentioned earlier, we were here to look for some mushrooms, but unfortunately at the end of May, it's still not quite season yet. We spoke to some locals yesterday and they were saying that mushrooms are probably not gonna grow until a couple of weeks later. So instead of doing some mushrooms, we decided to do a Temazcal ceremony. So a Temazcal is an ancestral tradition that's a symbolic representation of the maternal womb, combining body and spirit for a physical, mental, and spiritual healing. So, I mean, if you break down the word Temazcal, it actually means sweat and house. So essentially, we were put in a house for sweating. And like the locals have been doing this ceremony for just for their own personal healing purposes. They usually go, I mean, there is no cap on how often they go, but they go as often as maybe bi-weekly or a month at a time. So they really use this ceremony as a process for healing and like body spiritual renewal. And from what I've been hearing from the locals, there are many medical benefits to this Temazcal ceremony, which is it's a very relaxing process because you're put in a hot steam hut where you just have to focus on your breath, you have to focus on breathing, and it's kind of like opening up your pores and detoxing and letting all the negativity out. So it's kind of a process where you also release bodily toxins, and it used to be considered in pre-Hispanic medicine as a healing steam bath where you get reborn and you detox yourself between all that heavy sweating and meditation. So because it was done in the dark and it was really steamy and it didn't make for good photos, I mean, we couldn't really film anything when we were doing it, so I'm here to talk you through what happened during the process when we did our ceremony. So firstly, the shaman, he would prepare buckets of water, hot water, that is soaked with different aromatic herbs and leaves such as rosemary, eucalyptus, and a bunch of other local names that I don't really know. He also made us this tea called polio tea, and each Temazcal differs from one place to another, so no one Temazcal ceremony is the same. I did once in Oaxaca City, and it's a little different from the one that I did here in San Jose del Pacifico. What we did first was, so he introduced 4 doors to us. So basically there's 4 rounds of this heating ourselves up, and these 4 rounds, these 4 doors represent, these 4 doors, they represent different elements: fire, air, earth, and water. Yeah, and each of these elements, they represent different parts of our spiritual being. So one is to pay respects to our family, one is to pay respects to our friends, one is to rid ourselves of evil spirits, and the last one is to rid ourselves of our own ego. You can be in swimsuit or you can be fully naked, it's up to you. So each session, each round is roughly about 20 minutes, and the shaman would first bring hot stones that were heated up in fire, into the middle of the pit of our hut, and then he would bring in the bucket of water that's soaked with the leaves, the herbs, and he would soak the stack of leaves into the water and then sprinkle it onto the hot stone, so that the whole hut basically steams up. And so, I mean, the first round is the easiest because it's the least hot, and then progressively it becomes hotter and hotter. The first 2 rounds the first round we had to apply honey that he made, homemade honey, all over our bodies, and as our pores open up from the heat, the benefits of the honey basically absorbs into our skin. We put it even on our face. And then that was the first round, and the second round we had to put kind of an exfoliation scrub, which I later found out was made of mud and mixed with honey and different types of tea. And so that was really nice because I felt the baby skin effect afterwards when I cleaned it off. So that was really nice, and that was the second round. Buenos dias! So I'm back here in my apartment in Puerto Escondido, and you might hear some background sounds of birds chirping and dogs barking. That's just the sounds that wake me up in the mornings. And I'm really starting to appreciate the nature in this apartment where we're so surrounded by so much lush greenery. So anyway, I didn't manage to finish my take on the Temazcal ceremony when I was in San Jose, and so I'm going to continue where I left off, which was the 3rd round in the Temazcal ceremony that we did. And so the 3rd round represents the earth, and it is dedicated to our friends and our foes. As you can imagine, the temperature in the hut started to get really, really hot and humid. The water vapor was rising, and as the shaman sprinkled the water into the hot coals in the middle of the hut, you can imagine the heat and the water vapor just rising, and with the heat current, your head gets the hottest heat the first, and your toes probably hardly feel anything. So this round was dedicated to our friends and our foes, and we were to give thanks and appreciate and show appreciation to our friends, and then also to let ourselves go of the hatred and anything that is locking us between us and our foes. So we were to let it all go and seek forgiveness. And then came the 4th round, which is water. The last round is dedicated to ourselves. By then it was really getting hot and steamy, so steamy that you can't even see anything in front of you. all we could do was concentrate on our breaths because it was starting to get really stifling. And so we had this single-minded focus to focus on our breath, to achieve a sort of stillness in our body, to really focus on ourselves and our sensations and feeling our pores opening up from the heat. The water vapor or the sweat was dripping down from our eyelids, so really there wasn't a point in keeping our eyes open, and so we were like just breathing in and out and trying to endure the whole ceremony and trying to detox and feel light again. So the fourth round, which was dedicated to ourselves and our ego, we were to let it go. It also represents, the door also represents the door of death. So what they meant was that you had to die to be reborn again. So essentially we were stripping ourselves of all the ego, all the arrogance, all the negativity. After that round, it was, I think, about 80 minutes in. And so once that was done, the shaman finally opened the doors to let the cool air in. It was around 13 degrees. Outside temperature was around 13 degrees. And I was really relieved by the cold air, and we got a bit lightheaded by then, which is totally normal because of the heat and how all our blood was going to our blood vessels. When we went outside to sit down and cool down, you can see the steam literally steaming out from our bodies. And when he mentioned that we were going to go for a cold bath after that, I was so looking forward, even though it was 13 degrees outside. And so yeah, my heart was pumping really fast. We had some time to sit down and cool down and talk about our experience. And personally, I felt that I have removed myself of the toxins from all that sweating. And I definitely, with the mental space, I definitely felt lighter and clearer in a sense. I felt so much more, I don't even know how to describe it, but it just felt like a cleanse, like a detox. And so with that, we ended our ceremony with a super cold ice bath, which was really welcome. The shaman took it from a river a couple of kilometers down, so it was really clean, fresh water that we washed ourselves off from all the heat, the steam, the water vapor, the exfoliation scrub and the honey, everything, we washed it off. And suddenly I felt so, in a way I felt reborn again, because I felt so clean and fresh, literally. And even though it was 10 p.m. at night. And then he recommended us to, it was basically a celebration of life. And so he recommended us to let go of any tension, anything that you must do or should do. Just let it go, listen to yourself, and just do whatever you want. If you're feeling tired, go have a rest. If you're feeling energetic, go have parties, anything you want at all. If you want to have a beer, you can have a beer. Yeah, so it was really, I understand after going through two Temazcal ceremonies, which differed a little bit, I understand now why the locals really like this ceremony and why it's a ritual present in their lives. It's kind of a break from our day-to-day busy lives, going about to work, coming back home and having responsibilities at home. It's like a constant do, and it's like going for this Temazcal ceremony is sort of a form of meditation where you really focus on yourselves, your emotions, your sensations, your feelings, and it's like pressing pause on life and treating yourself to something calm so that when you finish the ceremony, you emerge renewed and ready to take on the rest of your days. So yeah, that was my experience doing a Temazcal ceremony in San Jose del Pacifico. So tell me, have you done a Temazcal ceremony before, whether in Mexico or elsewhere? How was your experience? Let me know in the comments below. And if you'd like to learn more about my Mexico adventures and beyond as a digital nomad, feel free to subscribe in the link below.